The room was dim, painted in gold shadows and expensive silence. Breathing heavy, skin against silk sheets. Soft moans echoing through Kong Ho Dean's penthouse. Kong Ho moved with an intensity no woman had ever been able to match. The model beneath him, Hannah, Korea's most adored beauty, clawed at his back, trying to keep up. But she couldn't. She gasped sharply and pressed her palms to his chest. Kong Ho, wait. I can't. I'm tired. We've been going for hours. She panted helplessly. I wish I could satisfy you. I love you. I really do. But I can't take all of you. No woman can. Kong Ho froze mid-movement, a cold silence cutting through her words. He pulled away from her, expression unreadable, eyes void of emotion. Another failure. Another woman unable to handle the fantasies that burned in him like wildfire. He stood up from the bed without a trace of shame, tugging on his shirt. Hannah curled into the sheets, embarrassed. Kong Ho, don't be angry, she whispered. I'm not angry, he said flatly. I'm just not interested anymore. His phone vibrated. He answered with the same cold tone. Speak. A deep voice echoed through the speaker. Boss, we cornered Williams Glover. He's refusing to hand over the code. Kong Ho's jaw tightened. He didn't breathe, didn't blink. Then we do it my way. Yes, boss. We're ready to move. Kong Ho hung up. Hannah sat up, clutching the sheets, worried. Where are you going? He didn't look at her. To finish something your beauty can't distract me from. He left the room without sparing her a final glance. Because tonight, the most dangerous mafia king in Korea was done playing gentle, and Williams Glover had just chosen the worst night of his life to run. Kong Ho arrives at Williams Glover's mansion like a storm. Black coat swinging, jaw clenched, eyes burning with humiliation and rage. His men spread out instantly. Search every corner. Rip the walls if you have to. The mansion is silent, too silent. Dust still floats in the air. Coffee is still warm on the table. A chair is pushed back, as if someone stood up in a hurry. Room after room, hallway after hallway, nothing. No guards. No suitcases. No signs of life. Only the echo of their footsteps. One of Kong Ho's men returns, tense and pale. Boss, he's gone. Kong Ho's eyes narrow. Gone? Williams Glover, his enemy. The man who cheated him? The man who swore he would never run? The air thickens. Then another soldier rushes downstairs, breathless. Boss, you need to see this. Kong Ho turns sharply, eyes cold. What did they find? Kong Ho follows his soldiers down a narrow hallway. A hallway that looks untouched, almost too normal compared to the chaos of the mansion. The soldier points at a door. We found a woman. Kong Ho's expression doesn't change. He pushes the door open. And then, silence. A soft lamp glows in the corner. Curtains sway with the night breeze. And on the bed, curled under a blanket like she has no idea the world is burning, Rebecca Glover, his rival's only daughter, fast asleep. She looks nothing like the ruthless father he's chasing. Her breathing is soft. Her hair is messy from sleep. She still has earphones in, music playing faintly, completely unaware, completely vulnerable. Kong Ho steps closer, slow, calculated. He studies her face, the innocence, the softness, the peace he himself has never known. His men whisper behind him, Boss, what do we do? Kong Ho doesn't answer immediately. He just stands there, watching the daughter of the man who betrayed him, the perfect weakness. Then his voice drops, low and cold. She will make him return. He turns to his men. Take her. Rebecca wakes up gasping. Not in her room. Not in her house. Not anywhere her mind recognizes. Marble floors. Tall windows. Dark curtains. A massive chandelier hanging above her like a threat. Her wrists aren't tied, but the room is locked. She stumbles to the door and pounds it with both fists. Hello. Where am I? Let me out. No answer. Panic rises in her throat. She grabs a vase and hurls it at the door. She kicks, screams, fights like an animal cornered. And then, the lock clicks. The door swings open. Kong Ho stands there, calm, too calm. A man who looks like he's seen every kind of fear, except hers. Rebecca's voice shakes with rage. Who are you? Why am I here? Where's my father? Kong Ho steps into the room, slow, powerful, filling up the space like a shadow swallowing the light. His reply is flat, emotionless. You'll go home when your father gives me the code. Rebecca freezes. Code? What code?
I don't know anything.
He studies her, eyes unreadable. Then pray he does. Because until he returns, you stay here. Her heart drops. She realizes the truth. She's not a guest. She's not a visitor. She's the Mafia King's bargaining chip. His prisoner. His leverage. And he isn't planning to let her go anytime soon. Days pass. Then a week. Then 2. Rebecca stops screaming. Stops fighting the guards. Stops asking Kong Ho when she can go home. Not because she's calm, but because fear has slowly turned into something worse. Silence. She sits by the window every night, waiting. For footsteps, for news. For her father. Any sign that he's coming for her. But nothing comes. Not a call. Not a message. Not a threat. Not even a demand to release her. Kong Ho watches her change. Her fire fading. Her hope shrinking. Then one morning, a soldier knocks on Kong Ho's office door. Boss, we got a message. Kong Ho barely looks up. From her father? The soldier hesitates. Yes. Rebecca is brought into the office, wrists trembling, eyes red but hopeful. The kind of hope that hurts to watch. Did he call? Is he coming? Did he send something? The soldier hands Kong Ho a tablet. A single message fills the screen.
Cold. Short.
Full. Kong Ho reads it, jaw tightening. Rebecca steps closer, voice thin. What did he say? Kong Ho doesn't sugarcoat it. He turns the screen toward her. The message hits harder than a bullet. I don't want her. Do whatever you want. Rebecca's breath stops. Her hands grip the edge of the table. Her knees almost fail. She shakes her head slowly, as if reality will change if she refuses it enough times. No, that's not him. My father wouldn't. He wouldn't. But the truth shatters her. She covers her mouth and breaks. Not loud, not dramatic, but the quiet, hopeless crying of someone who has finally realized they have no home to return to. Her father didn't just abandon her. He traded her life for his own freedom. And Kong Ho watches her collapse, unblinking, unexpectedly affected, because this girl, this enemy's daughter, has just become something he never planned for. Rebecca refused to be the quiet kind of prisoner, even after reading the message with her father's signature, even after realizing the man who raised her simply didn't care, even after crying herself to sleep every night for a week. She still wouldn't bend. Her first escape attempt was through the kitchen window. Her second was through the garage. Her third? She actually stole a guard's access card and sprinted toward the gates like her life depended on it. His men caught her each time, kicking and screaming. And still, she never stopped cursing Kong Ho out. Shoot me if you want, she would say, chin high. I won't behave just because you're used to women worshipping you. Nobody spoke to Kong Ho like that. Nobody dared. One night, after dragging her back from a failed run, Kong Ho slammed his palm against the wall beside her head. His eyes burned into hers, cold, lethal, unblinking. Try that again, he said quietly, and I will put a bullet through your skull myself. Rebecca didn't flinch. She didn't blink. She just looked him straight in the eye and whispered, "Then do it." The guards froze. Even Kong Ho froze. Because she wasn't bluffing. She wasn't terrified. She wasn't broken. She was alive, fierce, brave, and maddeningly stubborn. And for the first time, Kong Ho felt something he had no business feeling. Respect, curiosity, and a dangerous spark of attraction. It happened on a quiet night. Rebecca was walking back from the garden with 2 guards behind her, annoyed, irritated. She wasn't used to being caged or followed around. She hated it. When Kong Ho stepped out of the shadows, hard and needed a woman, on his way to meet one of his women models in the lounge, then he saw her, moving elegantly, her long legs, beautiful in a mini skirt. He closed his eyes, not wanting to be attracted to his enemy's daughter in any way, but his legs moved to her, his eyes not leaving her, blocked.
Her path. He didn't speak.
He just stood there, tall and unreadable, watching her like she was a puzzle he wasn't allowed to touch. She tried to walk past him. He moved slightly, stopping her again. Their bodies were close. Too close. Her breath hit his neck. His warmth hit her skin. For a second, neither of them moved. Kong Ho's eyes drifted, slowly, uncontrollably, to her lips. He didn't plan it. He didn't think it through. He simply leaned in. A man who had never been rejected by any woman. Rebecca turned her face away, sharp and bold. His lips brushed air, not her mouth. She stared at him from the corner of her eye and said, with a cold little laugh, "Mr. Kong Ho, I'm not like the other women you play with. Don't ever try that again." Silence.
Thick.
Electric. Humiliating. Kong Ho stepped back slowly, as if someone had slapped him across the pride he guarded so fiercely. No woman had ever said no to him. Not until Rebecca Glover, the girl he kidnapped, the girl he should hate, the girl who should fear him, turned her back and walked away. And that night, for the first time in a long time, Kong Ho felt something unfamiliar twisting in his chest. Not anger.
Lust.
Attraction. A week later, since her attempt of escape failed woefully, Rebecca makes it her plan to frustrate him so that he can let her go. But will he free her? The mansion had survived drug lords, assassins, and international police raids, but it had never survived someone like Rebecca Glover. From the moment she decided not to fear Kong Ho anymore, the entire house changed. Kong Ho sat at the dining table reading documents when Rebecca marched in, wearing the oversized shirt he gave her on her first night. His shirt. She didn't seem to realize the effect. Or maybe she did. She sat right beside him, way too close for a prisoner, and stole a bite of his food. Not hers.
His.
Kong Ho's hand stopped midair. "Did anyone give you permission?" "Yes," she said casually. He frowned.
Who? She tapped her own chest. Me.
The guard stared. Silence fell. Kong Ho's jaw worked for a second, then he turned away, pretending he wasn't bothered. But his ears had gone hot. Later that day, Rebecca walked down the hallway carrying a basket of folded clothes. Kong Ho was walking in the opposite direction. She accidentally brushed against him. Not once, not twice, but fully slid her body against his like she didn't see him coming. Kong Ho froze. Rebecca kept walking, but her voice floated back with a teasing hum. "Oops, didn't see you there, boss." Kong Ho felt something tighten inside him. Annoyance, tension, desire, something he had never felt for any woman. He exhaled sharply. "Be careful," he warned, more to himself than to her. Kong Ho was on a business call inside his home office when Rebecca barged in without knocking. She didn't care if he was the Mafia king. She didn't care if he was busy with billion-dollar deals. She plopped onto the sofa, stretched her legs, and mouthed, "I'm bored." Kong Ho tried to focus on the call. But then she did it. She picked up a pen from his desk and started twirling it, with her lips. Not sucking. Not licking. Just lightly nibbling the cap. His hand tightened around his phone. His voice cracked. His business partner on the line asked, "Boss, are you okay?" Kong Ho cleared his throat, looked away from Rebecca's lips, and forced out, "I'm fine." He absolutely was not. That night, Kong Ho passed by the living room and found Rebecca sitting on the sofa, scrolling through TV channels. She didn't look up when she said, "You know, for someone who kidnapped me, you're not fun at all." He looked at her sharply. "Fun? You are meant to be in an enclosed prison where you will be hardly fed. That is fun." "You wouldn't do that to me," she said, eyes drifting to him. He stood there, arms crossed. "I can do anything, Rebecca, so you better not cross boundaries. You would never experience the fun part of me." She shrugged. "Maybe that's why no woman can satisfy you." Silence. Her words sliced through him. How did she know that? Did his men gossip about his fantasy not being fulfilled? She looked up and smirked at his expression. That was it. Kong Ho stepped closer. Rebecca didn't flinch. You talk too much, he muttered. And you think too much, she replied. He stared at her for a long moment, long enough for her playful smile to slowly fade into something else. Something warm. Something dangerous. Kong Ho finally tore his gaze away and walked off. But Rebecca grinned. She knew it now. She could get under his skin. She could crack the Demon King. She could make him feel. And Kong Ho? He hated it. He needed her to stop. Rebecca stormed into the kitchen, arms crossed, feet stomping. Boss, I'm done. I can't wear these male clothes anymore. I need something decent. Something that doesn't make me look like a servant. Kong Ho didn't even glance up from his paperwork. You're a prisoner, he said flatly. And you should be grateful you have this much freedom. Clothes aren't a request. They're irrelevant. Rebecca huffed. Irrelevant. I live here too. I'm not your pet. He finally looked at her. Cool, unreadable. You're not leaving, he said, his tone final. She didn't back down. Then at least let me look human. Let me choose my own clothes. He studied her, sassy, fearless, impossible, and for a fraction of a second, something in him wavered. Fine, he said finally. 1 hour. That's it. Then you come straight back. The boutique was elegant, lit with soft gold lights. Expensive fabrics glimmered under the spotlights. Rebecca's eyes widened. She couldn't hide it. Even the air smelled richer than the mansion. She spun slowly, brushing her fingers over dresses, coats, and skirts. Kong Ho pretended not to watch. Pretended to check his phone. Pretended to be bored. But every now and then, his gaze flicked to her, watching how a green silk dress hugged her curves, how a tailored jacket framed her shoulders, how her hair tumbled perfectly down her back. He hated it, and he couldn't look away. Rebecca disappeared into a changing room, doors closed. Minutes later, she stepped out in a sleek black dress. Her hair tied back casually, eyes bright and mischievous. Kong Ho's chest tightened, even though he told himself he didn't care. She twirled. Well, do I pass, or am I still a prisoner?
His jaw tightened.
Pass, he said shortly. She grinned. Short answer. Classic. I like it. She tried on another outfit, a red cocktail dress this time. She walked toward him, hips swaying, pretending not to notice the way his dark eyes followed her. You're too good at this, he muttered. Too good at what? She teased, tilting her head innocently. He looked away. Nothing. Every time she spun, every time she smiled, every time she leaned just slightly toward him, something shifted inside him. Her laughter echoed softly in the boutique, light, playful, teasing. He hated that it made him want to protect her, want her. Try the blue one, he said finally, voice low. Rebecca smirked, disappearing into the changing room again. He leaned against the counter, pretending to be patient. But when she stepped out in the royal blue dress, he didn't even try to hide it. Her beauty was impossible. Her confidence, intoxicating. And the fact that she had no idea how much effect she had on him made it worse. He clenched his fists at his sides. He shouldn't feel anything. She was a prisoner. Kong Ho needed a female representative to attend a conference. Hannah was usually the one that followed him, but not this time. His bored prisoner will accompany him. The ballroom glittered with wealth. Chandeliers reflected gold across the polished marble floor. Business moguls, mafia associates, and power players from all over Asia mingled, glasses in hand, sharp suits, sharper eyes. Kong Ho moved through them, like a shadow.
Calm.
Collected. Dangerous. The king of the night, untouchable until Rebecca Glover appeared at his side. She didn't wear a mask of fear. She didn't cower. She wore confidence, a subtle smirk, and a dress that hugged her in all the right places. Within minutes, men circled. Compliments whispered. Glances lingered. And Rebecca? She played with it. Is that your drink, or can I try it? She asked a tall businessman, laughing. She brushed his arm ever so slightly when she took it. The man's jaw dropped, but she didn't care. Kong Ho's fingers tightened around the lapel of his suit. Her laughter sounded different to him tonight. Playful, teasing, alive, and meant to torment him. Every man she flirted with, every laugh she gave, every brush of her hand. It burned him. And then, the final straw. A wealthy executive whispered something in her ear. She leaned in just slightly, pretending to listen, and gave him a little wink. Kong Ho's control snapped. He didn't think. He didn't hesitate. He reached for her wrist, gripping it firmly, and whispered through clenched teeth. "We're leaving." Rebecca's eyes widened. "Excuse me? We're leaving.
Now."
The crowd parted like the sea around them. Gasps followed them. Whispers followed them. But Kong Ho didn't care. As they drove back to the mansion, silence filled the car. Rebecca, asking why he looked so grim. He didn't answer. The mansion was quiet that night. Rain tapped softly against the windows, a steady rhythm that matched the ache in Rebecca's chest. She sat alone in the lounge for hours before anyone noticed, staring at the rain like it could somehow wash away her pain. Her thoughts were a storm. Memories of home. Her father's rejection. Her brother's absence. The message that had shattered her world. "I don't want her. Do whatever you want." She had cried herself to sleep, only to wake to the same emptiness. The mansion, the guards, the food, it all felt hollow. She was trapped, heartbroken, and utterly alone. To numb the ache, she poured herself a drink, then another. And soon, the bottle was half empty, her sorrow dissolving into soft laughter and slurred words. When Kong Ho returned from a late operation, he found her curled up on the sofa, flushed cheeks, eyes glossy with both sadness and intoxication. "Who gave you this?" he demanded, voice low and sharp.
She giggled, almost childlike.
"I did," she slurred.
"Why?"
"Is it a crime to have fun?" He didn't answer. Instead, he watched as she swayed slightly, soft and vulnerable, yet playful. Watched as her hair fell over her face, lips parting in a small, wistful smile he had never seen before. Then she moved toward him, half stumbling, half intentional. "Kong Ho," she murmured, voice barely above the rain. "You're always so serious. Don't you ever relax?" Before he could react, she climbed onto the sofa beside him, curling against his side. He froze, heart hammering, breath catching. Her lips brushed his cheek lightly. Then again.
Twice.
She pressed closer, finally resting her head against his chest. Her hands trailed up his arm, then fell softly across his torso. She whispered something soft and unintelligible, then sighed, closing her eyes. Kong Ho didn't stop her. He sat frozen, feeling the warmth of her body against him, feeling her small, drunken sighs, feeling something deeper than desire, something dangerous, tenderness, connection, a pull he hadn't felt before. She was soft, affectionate, innocent in her drunken state, and utterly irresistible. For the first time, Kong Ho realized it wasn't just an attraction. It wasn't just an obsession. It was something more, something that could destroy him if he let it. And as Rebecca slept lightly against him, her fingers brushing his hand unconsciously, Kong Ho finally allowed himself to admit the truth. What the heck? He was falling for her. The rain fell harder outside. And inside, silence enveloped them both. But inside Kong Ho, a storm had begun. One he didn't want to calm. The mansion was quiet. Too quiet. Kong Ho and Rebecca were enjoying a rare evening together. Dinner in the private lounge, the tension between them simmering but unspoken. Then a loud crash shattered the calm. Intruders! Kong Ho's hand went to his gun instantly. Rebecca jumped to her feet, eyes wide. But something else lit inside her. Defiance. Two black-masked men burst through the doors, guns drawn. Kong Ho aimed, steady, voice calm but lethal.
Step back.
Don't move. The men opened their masks. Rebecca froze. Her twin brothers. The ones who abandoned her for 2 long, cruel months. She gasped, rushing toward them. You came for me. You finally came to get me. Stay back. Kong Ho barked, aiming his gun. Let her go, you bastard, one of the brothers yelled. She's ours. Rebecca's eyes darted between Kong Ho and her brothers. Her heart pounded with hope. Her chest ached with relief and confusion. Kong Ho stepped in front of her.
No.
She stays with me until I get what I want from your father. Her brothers sneered. And what if we don't care about your codes? She belongs to her family. Rebecca's stomach twisted. She stared at Kong Ho, then at her brothers. You left me. You abandoned me for 2 months. And now you expect me to just go with you? She shouted. Her voice shook with anger and betrayal. Her tears fell freely. You left me alone. Did you even care? We will explain it when we leave here. Kong Ho's men and her brother's men clashed in a violent, chaotic fight. Bullets tore through walls. Fists slammed bodies to the floor. Rebecca tried to move toward her brothers, desperate to believe they had come to save her. But Kong Ho held her tightly. Don't move, he growled, until your father releases my KYC codes for my next operation and property. One brother lunged forward. Kong Ho fired a warning shot. The chaos resumed. The mansion became a battlefield. Furniture shattered. Glass exploded. Bullets ripped through walls. Kong Ho's men fought fiercely, but the brothers were skilled. Insults flew between them and Kong Ho. You think a man like you owns her? She's not yours. The brothers hesitated. Kong Ho seized the moment, moving faster, striking with precision. By the end of the night, the mansion was in ruins. The brothers were injured but alive, fleeing with threats. We'll be back for her and you'll regret this. Rebecca stood amidst the wreckage, chest heaving, tears mixing with rage. Please take me, don't leave me here again, she cries. Kong Ho's hand found hers. His grip firm, protective, but she pushed him away, giving him a deadly look. The mansion was silent after the chaos of the brothers' attack. Rebecca sat on the sofa, exhausted, tear-streaked, and confused. She couldn't understand her family anymore. Why had they left her alone? Why had they risked her life? Kong Ho entered the room, holding a folder in his hands. Rebecca looked up at him, wary. I found something, he said quietly, voice low, controlled, but with a sharp edge that made her heart skip. What is it? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. He opened the folder, revealing documents, photographs, and messages. Her eyes widened as she read. Her brothers, her father, they had planned to marry her off, to an 80-year-old mafia lord. That is why they came for you. A deal to secure power, alliances, and money. Her life traded like a commodity. Rebecca's hands trembled. She dropped the folder. She sank to the floor, shaking. Her chest hurt. Her tears came faster than ever. They were going to sell me? She whispered, voice breaking. They didn't care about me at all. Why would they do this to their own family? They could come any time to take me. I don't feel safe. I won't allow it. Kong Ho cuts her off. Marry me then. He raised an eyebrow, cold, unreadable. Excuse me? Marry me, she repeated, eyes blazing. Protect me. Keep me safe. Keep me away from them. From my family. From the people who tried to sell me like I was nothing. From the man who abandoned me. Kong Ho studied her. He felt the weight of her trust and her defiance pressing against his chest. And what do I get in return? He asked, voice low, dangerous, a hint of amusement hidden in the edge. Rebecca stepped closer. Me, she said simply. All of me. That sounded too alluring to him. Her lips curled into a teasing smirk, but her eyes were deadly serious. He exhaled slowly, hand resting on the folder he had just shown her, proof of her family's betrayal. Fine, he said finally. Then we do this. A contract was drawn. Terms were agreed. Signatures pressed to paper. And in that instant, the power dynamic shifted. Rebecca was no longer a prisoner. She was his wife on paper, his possession in reality. But more than that, she was the first person to make Kong Ho truly accountable to someone other than himself. When he slid the diamond ring onto her finger, her smile was triumphant, playful, and victorious. Not because she had tricked him, but because she had claimed her own fate. For the first time, they were no longer just captor and captive. They were partners in a dangerous, twisted world, bound by a contract, by circumstance, and by something neither of them fully understood yet. The mansion was quiet, but inside Rebecca's chest, her heart was pounding like a war drum. She stared at her ceiling, unable to sleep. She was ovulating. She tried to maintain control, and all she could think of was her new husband and kidnappers inside her. She was restless, feverish, craving something she couldn't explain, something she couldn't deny, something dangerous. Her eyes found him across the room, Kong Ho, shirtless, standing in his usual calm, composed way, unaware that the tension in the air was almost unbearable. Damn! Rebecca swallowed hard. Her breaths were shallow. She moved toward him, every step deliberate, every glance teasing. Kong Ho, she murmured, voice soft but loaded with intention. He looked up, immediately sensing the difference. Her body language, her gaze, her scent, something primal hit him, a fire he had never felt before. Before he could react, she walked to him, her hands caressing his bare chest, her body pressing against him with a boldness that shocked him. I can't fight this anymore, she whispered, lips brushing his neck. Not tonight. Kong Ho's hand went to her waist instinctively, holding her closer. His heart pounded, but his mind, usually icy and controlled, was slipping. Are you sure about this? He asked, already feeling hard. He could feel her hardness against the soft silk nightgown. And then she replied him with a kiss, long, insistent, demanding. It was no longer just desire. It was a pull neither of them could resist. Her hands tangled in his hair. His lips moved over hers, slow, deliberate, claiming, but with restraint, not wanting to frighten her. He lifted her into his arm, his hand filling her. They tumbled toward the bed, bodies pressed together, their clothes scattered on the floor. Then he made love to her like never before, and she enjoyed every bit of it like an innocent naughty wife. Kong Ho finally surrendered to the moment. For the first time, he truly felt complete, not just satisfied physically, but emotionally. Every touch, every sigh, every whispered name created a bond stronger than any contract. Rebecca rested against him afterward, soft, exhausted, content, but triumphant. She had made him see her differently. Not as a captive, not as a bargaining chip, but as his equal, his partner, his woman. And Kong Ho, holding her close, whispered softly, "No one will ever touch you. Not now. Not ever." She smiled against his chest, finally feeling safe, finally feeling wanted. The storm outside could rage all it wanted. Inside, they were invincible, together and utterly consumed by desire and trust. The night was pitch black outside Kong Ho's mansion, but inside, the air was tense, heavy with anticipation. Rebecca was in the lounge, sitting quietly beside Kong Ho. The peace they had finally found after so much chaos shattered in an instant. A deafening crash echoed through the gates. Armed men poured in, breaking doors, smashing windows. At the front, leading the charge, Williams Glover, her father, flanked by her brothers and a hired army of mercenaries. Rebecca froze, her heart pounding. But Kong Ho's hand went to his gun, steady, calm, deadly. "Stay behind me," he ordered, eyes scanning, calculating, ready to fight. The mansion erupted into chaos. Gunfire shattered chandeliers. Glass rained like crystal bullets around them. Screams echoed. Her father and brothers stormed through, shouting orders, insults, and threats. Rebecca rose, stepping forward, voice strong, heart pounding.
No.
"I'm not going with you. I'm staying with him." The words hit her father and brothers like a thunderclap. She had chosen her husband, her captor turned protector, over her own blood. Kong Ho's eyes met hers. He gave her a slight nod, protective, proud. He would fight. He would survive. He would protect her no matter what. The mansion was a battlefield. Bullets tore through walls. Fists collided with metal and bone. Her brothers moved with precision, trying to reach Rebecca. Williams Glover, desperate, aimed his gun recklessly. Kong Ho's men returned fire. Chaos consumed the room. One brother shot Kong Ho. The bullet tore through his shoulder. Pain exploded, but he didn't falter. He pressed forward. The second brother raised his gun at Rebecca. Time slowed. Without thinking, Kong Ho threw himself in front of her. The bullet hit him square in the chest. He collapsed to the floor, blood spreading fast. Rebecca screamed, rushing to his side, tears streaming down her face. Her father fell moments later, one of Kong Ho's men firing back with precision. Williams Glover was dead. Her brother froze and raged. Kong Ho lay on the floor, unconscious, blood pooling beneath him, but his hand remained stretched toward her, as if to protect her even in death. Rebecca's sobs filled the mansion. The hired army scattered. The night was silent again, except for her screams and the rain beating against the shattered windows. She pressed her hand to his chest, feeling the slow, steady beat of life beneath her fingers. He had taken 2 bullets for her. He had risked everything, his life, his soul, for her. And in that moment she realized she would never leave him. He was hers, and she was his. The hospital room was cold and sterile, but Rebecca's heart felt like it was on fire. She sat beside Kong Ho's bed, tears streaming down her face, hands clutching his. His chest was bandaged, his body bruised, and yet he was alive. "Please, God," she whispered, voice cracking. "Please don't take him. Don't let him die. Not him, not my husband, not the only person who's ever protected me, loved me, truly cared." Her sobs shook her body, but she refused to leave his side. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time didn't exist in that room of fear and prayer. Then, faintly at first, a hoarse voice called out, "Rebecca." Her heart leapt. She froze. Did he? Kong Ho's eyes fluttered open. Pain laced his expression, but there was life. He reached weakly for her hand. I'm here," he whispered, voice rough, barely audible. "Don't leave me." Rebecca threw herself into his arms, sobbing uncontrollably. "I thought I lost you. I thought, God, please, don't ever leave me again." Kong Ho held her tightly, every ounce of his strength focused on keeping her close. "I'll never leave you," he rasped. "You're mine. Only mine. Forever." The beeping of the heart monitor was steady now, echoing like a promise. Outside, the storm had passed. Inside, in that small hospital room, love survived. Rebecca rested her forehead against his, letting herself cry, laugh, and breathe all at once. They didn't need words anymore. No threats, no lies, no betrayal. They had survived the worst. And now, nothing could break the bond they had forged in fire, blood, and passion. Her hand pressed against his chest, feeling his heartbeat strong and steady. She whispered, a mixture of relief and laughter. "You're lucky. I'm not letting you go ever again." He smiled faintly, pain-stricken but victorious. "I wouldn't dream of it," he murmured. And in that hospital room, amidst the smell of antiseptic and the soft hum of machines, they found their forever. The mansion was quiet. The chaos of the past weeks, the betrayals, the battles, the blood, was gone. But the silence was heavy, full of memory. Rebecca stood by the large window, gazing at the rain-soaked gardens, her heart still aching from the losses she had endured. Her father, her brothers, all the people who had abandoned her, tried to use her, or betrayed her for power. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I can't stop thinking about them," she whispered, voice cracking. Kong Ho stepped behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist, pressing her back against him. "You don't need to," he said softly, lips brushing the top of her head. "But don't mourn the people who didn't deserve you. Don't waste your tears on the wicked." Rebecca turned in his arms, resting her forehead against his chest. I guess you're right," she admitted, sniffling, a small smile tugging at her lips. Then, with a mixture of awe and joy, she placed her hands gently on her stomach. "Kong Ho," she said, her voice trembling but bright. I'm pregnant." He froze, eyes widening. Then a slow, dark chuckle escaped him, a mixture of amusement, disbelief, and pure happiness. "She's mine, she's really mine," he murmured, pressing a kiss to her temple, then her lips. Rebecca laughed, half crying, half giggling, as he lifted her slightly, spinning her around in a playful, protective embrace. "You're insane," she teased, her hands tangling in his hair. "And you are my everything," he whispered, eyes dark, fierce, but soft all at once. He kissed her again, slow, deep, lingering, a kiss that spoke of love, trust, passion, and forever. For the first time, they didn't have to fight. For the first time, they could breathe. For the first time, they could be safe, loved, and free. Rebecca grinned, pressing her nose to his chest. "Promise me one thing," she whispered. Kong Ho raised an eyebrow, smirking. "Anything. Don't ever let me go, even when our kid starts bossing you around." He laughed, a low, dangerous, utterly delighted sound. "You're stuck with me. Forever. And I plan on enjoying every second of it." They kissed again, this time soft, playful, and endlessly loving. Outside, the rain continued to fall, but inside the mansion, inside their hearts, a new storm of joy, love, and life had begun. And for anyone who doubted them, they were unstoppable. Together. I hope you enjoyed this story, besties. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and tell me your thoughts. The end.